Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Curing the Cost of Poor Quality, How Argon Medical Found the Remedy. I'm Heather Masaccio, your host from Pharmaceutical Online and Life Science. Before we get started, if you have a question for our speakers or wish to share any thoughts of your own, please submit it through the Q&A box on your screen. If you run into any problems with the stream today, please try refreshing your browser first. If the problem persists, you can go ahead and use the Q&A tool to submit a question, and I'll help get you back on track. This event will be available on demand, normally within about 24 hours. You'll just use the same link that you used today. Now, I am happy to introduce today's presenters. We have Christopher Mix, Quality Assurance Compliance Manager, Christina Williams, Corporate Compliance Specialist, both with Argon Medical, and Jennifer Bianchini, Senior Product Marketing Manager. Jennifer, I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. I'm going to turn it over to you to get us started. Jennifer?
Yes, you did. Thank you so much. Thanks for the introduction, Heather. Thanks everyone for taking the time to join us. We're so happy that you are here today. Let's start by taking a quick look at the agenda and what we'll cover. So some of the first things we'll look at are the factors that can make the world of quality management complex and the ripple effect that poor quality can have across your organization. Then we'll touch on how a quality management system can help with setting standards to help you get those quality costs down. And then I'm so excited for Chris and Christina to share how Argon Medical Devices leverage their QMS to improve efficiencies and save costs, really giving them that visibility and control over their quality management processes. And then we'll do a quick wrap up, so we'll have plenty of time at the end to answer your questions. So don't be shy. Put those questions in the chat. This time is for you, helping you to be a quality champion. So first, before we start, I'd like to start things off with a poll question. I'd like to get, what the pulse is for everyone here who's attending. So if we're looking at the options that we have for what are some of the primary sources of quality related costs in your organization, we have lots of options here to choose from. So is it for you, A, supply chain? Your suppliers aren't quite coming through with your requirements? Or is it B, scrap? There are high volumes of scrap that are affecting your bottom line. Or can it be C, rework? The product is not getting done right the first time? Or are you looking at D, downtime? There are delays with getting the final product to your customers. And then we have E, excess inventory. Are you carrying extra inventory for those just in case moments? Or perhaps you're dealing with field support or customer complaints. A batch product didn't quite meet all of the specs, and unfortunately, it made its way to the market. And then finally, you're not sure, and that's okay. We're all here to learn. So we'll just give it a few seconds. Go ahead and put your option in, and I'm a little excited to see what the response is here. So sorry, Heather, where do I see the response? Do I click through?
No worries. You can go ahead and hit the next button. I'll do that for you.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay. Looks like we have supply chain and downtime are kind of even with field support and customer complaints, and not sure, which is even with supply chain. So that's really interesting. Thanks everyone for indulging me on that. That was very insightful. And hopefully for those of you who aren't sure, will help shed some visibility into that. So let's moving ahead now on to what we're gonna do. So let's start by taking a look at the bigger picture when it comes to some of the challenges that you might be facing in the world of quality. You'll see here a few common struggles that we have heard about from our conversations with manufacturers and our customers at ETQ. And this is regardless of where they are in their quality journey or if they have a quality management system or not. These are experience issues they've experienced over time. So let's dig into these a little bit. Probably the first one that we've heard the biggest challenge for our people is they've shared with us are the challenges they have when it comes to reducing costs. And this can be anything, as we saw from our poll question, from the defects, nonconformances, scrap complaints, and so much more. They're grappling with how to track it and quantify it to avoid creating that hidden factory of waste and inefficiencies. Then there is sharing information. So, how is data stored between systems and teams and locations and throughout your entire organization? How do you take the information that is in a file system or a SharePoint folder and then move it to a centralized system so it's easily accessible to the people who need it so they can get their job done and get it done right the first time? And then this next one, we've heard a lot about it as well. The challenges that people face when it comes to demonstrating compliance, either for government agencies or their customers, what it takes to be audit ready. You know you have an audit coming up, but how do you find all of the information that you need so you're prepared for the audit? And how do you even know all of the information that you are going to need so you can pass the audit? And then we have suppliers, which was an answer that was pretty high in a response in our poll question. They can also contribute to a complex web of quality management. So, what do you do to have visibility into your suppliers? Are they compliant to your requirements? And if not, can you see the financial impact that those lower quality products have on your bottom line? So, achieving visibility into those numbers can be quite cumbersome. And then rounding this up, when you are working with people, you've got some folks who might do things one way, and then you have another team that is following a completely different process. So, how can you ensure consistent quality if processes across your organization are not aligned? So, taking all of this into consideration, and there's so much more that I'm not touching on, maintaining quality can be so complex. And I'm sure everyone here today can talk to their own quality challenges. But for the rest of our time together, we are going to focus on we're going to focus and put the lens on the cost of poor quality and what it's costing you. All right, so first let's level set and define what is the cost of poor quality. According to the American Society for Quality, it's the cost that is associated with providing poor quality products or services. And looking at it this way, it's the total of the financial losses incurred by an organization due to errors and substandard work. So let's chip away at this. What exactly are these costs? So let's think about it with the classic iceberg image. We have all seen this before, and it's because it's a really good example of showing the difference between the visible cost and the hidden cost. So those visible costs, they're very transparent to everyone, from your C-suite to the shareholders to the public. And this is through 10K reports, balance sheets, cash flow statements. People can see how inventories are trending and so forth. But where the danger lurks is below the surface at the hidden costs. So, do you know the ripple effect of quality issue that it would have throughout your organization? Most folks don't. And we saw that with our poll question. So, let's think about this example. Do you know the impact when a non-conforming material holds up production? Do you order more material than is needed to compensate for that? Or do you deliver late to your customers? Or if the product makes it to the market, is your reputation or certification at stake? And then what does this mean for future opportunities? So now imagine all of those costs accumulating over time because they're hidden and the effect that this has on your company's bottom line. So, a general rule of thumb is that the cost of poor quality in a thriving company will be about 10 to 15% of operations. But for some organizations, it can be as high as 40% of their total operations. Okay, so we now have some foundations for better understanding the cost of poor quality and the visible and the hidden costs. So, how do you, as a quality champion, begin to tackle this dilemma? Start with an electronic quality management system, an EQMS. It's a step in the right direction to help you get costs down. When you have an EQMS, it provides a place for tracking all of the scrap, your rework, your waste, your customer complaints, warranty cost, everything. It will help you reduce field failures and preserve and even grow your brand. And don't take our word for it, talk to our customers. They've shared with us by participating in a research project with a third party vendor the value they received with a quality management system. And part of the project was looking specifically at the value they saw when it came to reducing the cost of poor quality. We heard from our customers that they saw real value when it came to bringing those costs down, everything that we've been talking about. They reported back a 10% reduction in their field failure costs. And that's pretty significant. And this all leads to improving your bottom line and your brand reputation. And don't forget, you're also working towards preventing the creation of that hidden factory of waste and inefficiencies. So there's some other data points that you see here on the slide, and those are other ROI drivers that our customers shared with us, showing real world results they received using a quality management system. And now I am excited to turn it over to Chris and Christina from Argon Medical Devices and hear how they saw improved efficiencies and visibility with an EQMS. Chris, Christina, over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate it. So Argon Medical's been around for a while now. We've been around since 1972. We specialize in interventional radiology, vascular surgery, interventional cardiology, and oncology as a company. And we have a real commitment to innovation. Clinical performance and service and value to our customers is very important to us. We have a lot of customers around the world, and they rely on us to produce good quality products for their patients and for their companies also. And of course, we have 3 facilities, currently 3 plants, I should say, around the United States, in Texas, Illinois, and in New York also. And then our headquarters is in Plano, Texas. We have another office there. So, Christina, anything to say?
No.
Not at this time.
Not at this time.
Okay. Go on. Okay, this is just a quick shot, but Christina and myself, we're both been around medical devices for a number of years. A lot of different things we've taken, certifications and things. So I'm sure that's all fascinating, but I'm gonna skip over most of this. Okay, so ETQ became our quality management system back in 22. We had systems previous to that, but we were unhappy with them. They just weren't very flexible. They didn't quite meet all of our needs. So we went searching for a new system, and we ended up choosing ETQ Reliance for our system. We like the system a lot. It's very robust. It has a lot of different modules within it that really help us to streamline a lot of our processes and making sure we comply and make sure our quality is good. So we've mostly been using the document control and change management modules. They're very tied together. The CAPA module, of course, is another thing we use quite a bit of. The nonconformance handling we used to process all of the internal failures. And then we added on a section called failure investigations. This is something we did internally here at Argon to help us look into individual failures and make sure we do a very deep dive looking at that failure. So the system allowed us to go ahead and create new forms, new views, all the things we needed to do to put that into place. It's been pretty successful so far. I think everybody likes it, and it worked out very well for us. I mean, literally, I took a paper form and turned it into an electronic form that we use, and it's used at all of our facilities. Near and dear to my heart, of course, is the audit management module. So we use that pretty extensively. Christina and I both handle the external audits and the majority of the internal audits also for the corporation. We tried to centralize it because Christina and I are actually corporate, but I'm embedded in the plant in Athens, Texas, and Christina's at our offices in Plano, Texas. Supplier management. Prior to this, our supplier management files were all paper-based, very tough to manage. Very hard for one plant to see what another plant's doing, and sharing suppliers was very difficult. Now, our plant in Illinois can open up that file and go, oh, we've already got a supplier on file that can produce that for me. We'll just go use them. Or if we get documentation in, and we help each other out quite a bit with that also. So it's worked out very well for us. And of course, risk assessments, risk is built into the system in almost every single module, how you manage things. And us being a medical device company, risk is very near and dear to our hearts. So we very closely track that and try to reduce the risk. That's not buy off the shelf product. So this really helps us to manage all of the wildness that goes on between all those different customers. Christina, anything like to jump in?
No, I think you covered it. I think we've been using all of these system modules because they are so flexible and they are dynamic. So we can make changes from the stuff that comes, like we can customize Chris has customized all of these modules in order to suit our business needs.
Yeah. Jennifer said my voice has been breaking up, so I apologize. Just to reiterate, we're using all of these things, and I am the system architect this time. I'm the developer for it and the admin. And Christine is one of my ETQ ambassadors. She handles the Plano office for me. Okay, let's go onward. Okay, now we're going to go back through some of the different modules that we've seen have really saved us a lot of time and money as a company, and that's really what we're all interested in. I don't know if other companies have had this issue, but we purchase other companies and we bring in all of their product lines into our company, and sometimes you inherit things. In two of our plants that we brought in, we inherited a asset or a calibration system that was based on a very old Microsoft server, and we needed to get it off of there. It was the oldest server in the company. It was not supported anymore by Microsoft, so it's a really big security issue for our IT departments, and they're really interested in getting us moved off of that. And it was costing us a lot of money too. We were paying for this software and this server that put us at risk, and it was expensive, a couple $1,000s annually. So to get rid of that, we decided to jump over into using the assets calibration and maintenance module. So two of our plants, we brought them into that module, and once they were in that module, they were good to go, and they've been leveraging it ever since. They're using it for a lot of other things too, for their different maintenance requirements within the plant and the calibration. So it's been very good for us. So that was a really good thing that we could do early on, because I wasn't too sure what to do about it. initially until we got this new module in that we were able to use. And of course, it was painful importing all the information. It always is, but it is what it is. You got to do the work. Now, the complaints handling, so it's managing all of the investigation, the resolution of customer complaints, and also all the reporting. The reporting to the FDA, to the EU, to all the different regulatory bodies throughout the world, literally. We're doing business now. Was it, Christina, like over 90 countries now, I think? It's just very high number. And of course, every country has their own requirements. So you have to comply with that, and that complaints handling module lets us do that. From 2023 to 2024, through Herculean efforts by our teams here, they were able to reduce the response times by 26% in our complaint responses. And that's huge for the company. I mean, that is actually quite a bit of money and time that we've been able to save. And then the complaints themselves, we've had teams constantly working on all these different issues, and with everybody working together, they've been able to reduce the complaints by 28%. Every complaint costs you money. You've got to replace the product. You've got to make new product. You've got to do all the filings, all the investigation work. It's very expensive for a company, not to mention just the mail costs involved of getting the stuff brought back to you. So reducing that by 28% is a huge cost figure for us. So, Christina,
yep.
Anything you want to say?
No, you got it.
Okay. Yeah, just jump in. I'm not shy. Okay, here's some other modules we've worked with also. Of course, the change management, the document management are very tied together, but all of our engineering changes go through the change management module. So the number of days that it takes to process a change request is a big deal for us. So just from the time we started using ETQ to just last year, we were able to drop the amount of time it takes to process a change through from 35 days to 28 days. So that's 21% improvement as a company. So that makes a really big difference for getting things done. And of course, we process a lot of changes, so you've got over 1,000 changes going through the system annually. People don't see that big picture of how many things we do. Now, nonconformance reporting, NCRs or NCMRs, depending on what company you're in, we've been able to reduce the time it takes to process these by 40% from when we started to present, where we've gotten all kinds of really good feedback from our users about how to make the system better. We've simplified workflows. We've modified a lot of forms also, because ETQ allows us to get in there and make changes we need to. We'll make some fields required. We'll do automatic routings of things, and it makes a really big difference. So, if NCRs drop, your quality is getting better, and it kind of shows in the complaint numbers dropping also. And then in our suppliers and materials and chemicals module, we have a lot of suppliers. We're working on reducing that base, but still have a large number of them. So we've got over 1,000 suppliers, and we have them split up into different risk-based categories, because you manage that supplier based on what they do for you and how risky it is for that specific supplier. And this helps us to organize, because each one of those risks requires either an on-site audit or different kinds of paperwork or non-disclosure agreements and contracts, and all kinds of things have to happen with those. And we manage all of that paperwork coming in there. And it's really nice because it'll even flag you, some things like ISO certs to go away every couple of years. It flags you and lets you know that, hey, this supplier's ISO cert's due in a week or 2 weeks, and we'll contact them and get it updated. And previously to this, the systems were all managed on paper and Excel sheets. So you can imagine how hard that was, because the other plants couldn't even see what we were doing, and we couldn't see what they were doing. So it really made a big difference.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. Training and management. Hard for every company, I know. I've been in multiple companies over my career since I got out of college in 1983. And training management has always been a tough one to manage for a company and make sure it's effective. So right now, at the time I made this slide, we had 811 active things we were training to for over 900 employees, over 3 locations, actually 4 locations, including the Plano office, all over the United States. So some of the issues we face are we've got employees who don't have access to computers. You know, they're hourly workers, they're on the floor, they don't use computers every day. ETQ has quiz systems built into it that allows us to quiz people that have computer access. So we ended up with a hybrid system based between paper, which is hard to manage, as you all can know. You know, it's hard to track dates, you don't lose the paper, the training gets done on time, you know, the right people sign off on it. You know, within the system, that's easy to manage, but on paper, it's different. So we're trying to do our best to get away from the paper more so. So my supervisor's been working with IT in different groups, and we're going to try to launch putting some kind of computers on the floor where they can take their training on the floor, or they can log into some kind of a laptop out on the floor, and then they'll be able to take their training right there. Because every employee that's in the training system has a setup in ETQ, then all they've got to do is log into the system using their passphrase, and then they're good to go. They can take their training there, and that gets rid of that paper. So that gets rid of probably 3 to 4 people handling that piece of paper before it gets back to quality to get input into the system. And that's going to be a big cost savings for us. Document control. We were looking at how many days it takes us to process documents through our system. And since we started, we've been looking at it, and we save an average of about 5,500 days of processing time for the documents going through the system. We've been streamlining the system as much as possible, and it's really starting to show up in what we're doing. Because if a document that's necessary, I mean, somebody went through trouble to put it into the system, somebody's got to be using it for something. So it's important for that to go through the system in a timely manner, get the proper sign-offs on it, because, you know, we're a medical device company, so we've got to have, you know, regulatory look at things. We've got to have production. You know, every department has to look at these things to make sure it doesn't impact our business in some way. And you can tell by the number of documents we process. 26,000 documents get processed through the system. And that was just last year. And it appears to be growing. I think we're making more and more use of the system more effectively. So people are relying on it more. So you'll see more documents flowing through it. Okay, so this is me. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'm not shy. And I'll try to answer back in a timely manner. So, Christina, you have any closing remarks? We're going to turn it back over to Jennifer.
No, I'm good. I think we've covered everything. I think the important thing to get out of Chris's presentation is that the system works because you can modify it to your need. And we had many different needs from different sites and different departments within our sites. And he's been able to coordinate some of those things so that we have a more dynamic system that we can use. That has reduced us time and made us all more efficient in handling these big ticket items that usually cost a lot in time and money.
Yeah, because when you get the system initially, the system's very just out of the box. It's very generic, and it probably won't fit your business. So you need to go into it and do a lot of customizations. And then it's really a never-ending process of improving it all the time. Like I have 4 or 5 things going right now that I'm going to be modifying in the system to improve things. Just every day somebody's contacting me saying, hey, wouldn't this be a good idea? Say, yeah, I never thought of that. And we can go ahead and we can implement that, and it works great. So
let's do that.
Okay, Jennifer, you want to take back over?
You have a question.
Oh, I do? Oh.
Yeah, you've got a few. So we've got a few questions.
Well, can we, yeah, that's awesome. I love that everyone's putting questions in there. Let me just cover one more part, and then we'll cover the questions. Yeah, lots of great questions coming. All right, thank you. So thank you, Chris and Christina. Really great nuggets of information in there and lessons learned. I think everyone's got some great tips there. And obviously we can tell, we see the questions that are coming in. Okay, so if I could just take a moment to share with everyone a little bit more about ETQ. As I'm sure you're all aware, there are a lot of phases in the QMS journey, but no matter where you are in your journey at ETQ, we are ready to help you. We have a comprehensive purpose-built QMS where you can reduce costs, streamline operations, and build compliance into your processes that result in improved efficiency, time to market, and sustainability, and most importantly, bottom line results. We also offer a wide range of professional services, including managed services, to meet your needs at any stage of your quality journey. And as you can see here with ETQ, you're in good company. We serve hundreds of customers across all shapes and sizes and many industries, and we apply those learnings and best practices from all the industries to provide a unique value to all of our customers. We've been in business for over 30 years, empowering quality champions just like you to use quality management as a catalyst for business success. We aim to be your trusted advisor to our customers, to you and our customers, to everyone. We love the opportunity to share our expertise and help you. And we are also a part of Hexagon, a global leader in sensor, software, and autonomous manufacturing solutions. Okay, now, thank you everyone for letting me share a little bit of ETQ with you. And yes, now we are reached the part of the webinar for the Q&A. So ready, Chris and Christina? Let's see what we've got.
Okay, I'm going to pop back on just for a quick second, and I'm going to say thank you to all of our speakers. That was a wonderful presentation filled with a lot of great information. Now, as the audience, if you would like to submit a question and you haven't already, you can still do so through that box on your screen. And yeah, now we're going to get to the Q&A part. So let's bring our speakers back on. And the first question we're going to get to is asking, how do you use document control module change management? Is it to manage manufacturing instructions or similar documents? Who can help with this one?
Yeah, we use it to manage just about every document type. We have, I believe, 8 different document workflows within that system. So a lot of our documents just need to get reviewed and approved. We call those electronic signatures. A lot of the other documents have to go through multiple approval phases. So those are a little bit different, how we manage those.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. And the next audience question is asking, how did the system reduce complaints? What was the main driver associated with ETQ that drove responses times down? Who can help with this one?
Yeah. I mean, I can jump in, Christina. I think the biggest change is that every complaint that comes in is actually like a midget NCR. You have to look at that complaint, look at your FMEAs, see what that risk is, and then you need to take some kind of corrective action to fix that complaint. So the ETQ, the complaint management module, allows us to compile all that data. I mean, it's a lot of data, and it lets us take corrective actions based on that information. And since, it allowed us to see all those things where maybe before it was all hidden, we were able to take good corrective actions and fix them. And the team here has done a really good job of that. I mean, they've gone after problems very early on. I mean, they'll see something, all of a sudden there's an uptick of something, and they'll jump on that problem and they'll work on it and they'll fix it. So it doesn't sit there and wait for long. So it gives much more quick reaction times to problems.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. And back to the audience questions. This question is asking, were you able to streamline the number of risk-based categories with the trending provided by ETQ? Who can help with this one?
Well, there's a lot of different risk categories. For the supplier risks, those are cooked into our system, our supplier management system. So depending on the type of supplier it is, that's how that got cooked into it. And the other ones, I don't think they are that much. What do you think, Christina?
I think that you determine your risk, how you analyze risk. For us, we had these categories because we had specific types of materials that we were using and different compliance requirements for those. And so our risk was determined by our material and the services that were being provided. And so you have to actually do that. But the system allows for you to have different settings and then make those requirements for those settings. So it's just putting in your risk analysis and making it part of your platform so that all of the data you collect and all of the analysis that you do is somewhere so you can tell what you need to do for performance to do evaluations and analysis every year.
Very good. Thank you both so much. Did you have anything more to add to that, Christopher?
No, not really. Like Christina was saying, it's very much your risk is baked into the system. We're following the ISO standards for risk management, of course. And every time, we can manage a lot of risks just by how we work with the system and set the system up to work. All the different forms, and some things are required and some are not, and that's all cooking in risk.
Very good. Thank you both. Back to the audience questions. This question is asking, how do you create stamping on the documents that are routed via doc control module? How about this?
Well, we actually put it on there ourselves directly. Our previous system did a watermark system that would put that on each one. ETQ can do that also, but we decided not to use that in this case. So the system can do it. We're not using it currently, but it's like a watermark system where it puts that on there for you. And then, like most of our documents end up being Word docs or Excel or whatever, so they have their own blocks in there to control all of that.
Very good. Thank you. And this next question is asking, can you please explain more about the offline use of ETQ for non-laptop users?
That's been a struggle. That's the paper-based system that hurts us. We have a good number of people. We've got a lot of users, maybe 30–40% of those users are non-computer users. So we manage their training. We'll issue the training within ETQ, then that goes to their supervisor. Then their supervisor will arrange for that training with our training coordinators here in the facilities and make sure they get the right people in that training and they get trained to the right thing. It can add a lot of different levels too, because some things go across the company. We call them corporate Argon quality documents. And some things are just local. So we manage that. The system is driving it, but the actual giving of the class and then the quizzes that are done to prove competency, those are all done manually and then fed back into the system.
Good, thank you.
And yeah, I also like to jump in there and mention for ETQ Reliance, we do have a mobile platform. So if people are not buy a laptop, they can use any mobile device. So we try to we're one of the great things about ETQ Alliance is very flexible, so it can work with any type of situation that your organization may have.
Yeah, and Jennifer, we use, we can use ETQ because of the screen sizes. You probably want to use it on a decent tablet or some kind of a computer screen. But then I've got also mobile things set up for audits and for documents that you can use on your phone. And
That's awesome.
someday, if I have enough time, I'm going to put the audits into there and do a lot of other things with it too. But there's so much stuff you can do with this. You don't know which direction to run first.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you both. Now to our next audience question, and this question is asking, how do you ensure users are competent in using the system? Do you perform periodic training sessions, or is there a shared repository of tools? How about this one?
Well, we use ETQ Academy.
Let me do it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so ETQ has a really wonderful system that trains you on how to use every single one of the modules. But on top of that, our Chris, as our ambassador, has set in tools and links right on our landing page for your portal. And it makes it so that we can actually access some helpful tips and frequently asked questions and things like that. We also have the ability to set for us to do annual reviews and stuff like that. But for the most part, we feed through our document control system, and that alerts us to new training through document change. But for investigation where we have to do, we can push training to the people who need it or require it, and have a repository for that training. But if we're just talking about training in the system, yeah, ETQ has a very good academy that we also have links on our my portal page. So it helps our employees be able to do it themselves because they can look through there and determine stuff that they're interested in knowing about, or if they get new access or asking for additional access, they can go in there and self-train.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of nice. The system allows you to link to external links. So what we did was we needed a good way to teach people how to use our unique system that we had made. So we use a SharePoint library, and I call like ETQ help library. And when people click on that link, it actually opens up a SharePoint library. And then everything's listed in that SharePoint library that they need to learn. So that's like where we have our onboarding deck, which highly recommend if you don't have one for your people already, because it teaches them how to do their passphrases, how to do their getting into ETQ Academy, and how to do some other basic things in the system to get them started. So that's been a real benefit. And then I'm going to be, because of issues we've been seeing, my supervisor had a good idea to go and do a pain point survey of all the users. So in a Microsoft form, I created a survey for all the users in ETQ, and then I emailed everybody to go take that survey. I put a link to that survey right on their portal where they could click on that external link and go and take the survey also. So got about a 40% response rate on that, which is pretty good. And we did a lot of pushing of people, of course. But now we're going to take that data that we learned from, and we're going to go back and we're going to act on the system to make it better for our users. We know really what's causing them their pain. So that's going to be a big help. And then that's going to push more training for them.
Yeah.
And of course, at each location, we have an ambassador. The ambassadors work with people at each location to help them out a lot also, because you don't want frustration to set in. That's what happens. Somebody will get into it who's not used to being in an EQMS, and they'll try to do something, and they'll try, and they'll try, and they'll try, and they don't go and ask somebody for help. So that's how the ambassadors are always there to help them, and myself also. I always tell them, go find somebody who's already done it. They'll walk you through it. Don't struggle.
For sure.
Ask us.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. next audience question. And this question is asking, implementing a QMS can be overwhelming. How did you make the project manageable?
It wasn't manageable. It was a lot of work. We had a big team.
I think what we probably a best way to cover this is what we learned in implementing, right? And that is that you can do everything, but you need to have a good plan, start where you need the most support, and then everything else builds out from it. Because of the way that ETQ works, once you have learned the basics of how the system works, you can find ways to streamline it, to cut out extra, to add certain steps so that it makes more sense to your organization. And I think that's what Chris has been doing for the last couple of years, really applying the thing out of the box and then sort of making the corrections. And because of our ability to upload large volumes of information through, we'll let the architect talk about that, but there are ways to import large amounts of data and stuff like that, that if you had to do that manually would have been so cumbersome and time consuming. But there are ways that the ETQ system allows for you to do that. Go ahead and tell them about that.
The way we tackled it, we broke it down into modules. Well, first off, we had to get some people trained. So we got our ambassadors. I took a lot of training. I went up through the intermediate designer training. And we were coming out of an old system. Plus, we had a lot of things on the network too, files and things. So you tackle doc management and engineering change first. Documents, actually. We spent a lot of time another module, tackle it, pick another module, go after it. We just keep on doing that until you get through everything. So a big project though, not for the faint-hearted, but the benefits are very real.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. And back to the audience questions. This question is asking, how are you defining success, or what does success look like for you?
Well, to know that the users are getting what they need, because realistically, I don't make anything. I work for everybody else. So the better I can make them at their jobs and help them to function better, the better off they are. So that's really how I judge success there. As far as judging success by how much money you save or how many hours you save, that's all really good. You need to feed that kind of information back up to the upper management, but there really is no end goal. It's always driving down lower and lower. It's just like, a risk priority number. You don't want to ever settle. You always want to try to drive that lower and lower as you go. So that's kind of how I judge success.
Yeah, we're quality people. So we understand that the best scenario is that we produce really good product, and improving the way that we can collect data and drive change and improvement, it helps everybody. And so from the surface level, it's just being able to give good data, like good in, good out, being able to investigate and have really good information collected so that we can make the best decisions. And these are all things that you can do once you have a centrally located set of information that everybody knows how to perform in. And we have consistency. So we can look at it and go, this is good, or this can change, or we can improve. The survey that Chris created was to, hey, you've now worked in it for a period of time. What can we do that'll make your job easier? Those are success when you get even people just writing back and going, hey, I need this view or whatever, because that means they're looking at it in a critical way. they're thinking about how to make everything better, and that's always a win for quality.
Yeah, and I did give all the people who use ETQ a really good tool. I made my own bug tracker that's on the front page that they can link on, and they go into that, and then they fill that form in to tell me what they need or what the problem is, and it saves it to a Microsoft list, and then it notifies me automatically of that being there, and I can track the bug then until I can get it fixed. So that way, my users always have someplace they can go and let me know what's going on.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you both. Now we have a question that's asking, and we may have touched upon this already, but this question is asking, why did you choose ETQ Reliance? I know we've been talking about this the whole time, but is there something that you want to really kind of let everybody know about specifically?
Yeah, we looked at a couple of different systems. We had a lot of people looking at it. We were all quality regulatory professionals, have a lot of experience in multiple industries. And after we got done looking at all of them, we thought this would fit us the best just because of the flexibility and the ability by us to make changes as we need to. I mean, I've got a pretty good skill set for this kind of thing, but if you are like a lot of companies will have dedicated people doing nothing but making ETQ better for them. They can do like wizard level stuff. It's great. So, you get better over time.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Well, we are getting to the end of our webinar. I want to bring everybody back on, and I just want to say thank you so much for such a great presentation. If we haven't got to your question, no worry. That means the presenters want to take a little bit more time offline and get back to you, so look for that. And that's it. Does anyone have any final words you'd like to say? Any parting words to our audience? Jennifer, Christopher?
Thank you for everybody's time. I appreciate it. It's been a good journey so far with ETQ. I know there's a lot of pain involved with some of my users. It may not be what they're used to or in their past, whatever, but overall, it's been a very good system for us, I think. And it's answered a lot of the things that we needed.
Okay, very good. Well, again, thank you three so much for your time, and thank you to the audience for watching. We will see you next time. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Thank you.